Hey everybody, Devin again here with wagonwell.com, and today I wanted to shoot a video just about a little bit about goals and get to know each other a little bit better. So um, yeah, what kind of personal goals get you moving in the morning? What are you aiming for? What do you identify yourself with? What goals? What have you been trying to achieve? What have you always told yourself you're going to be achieving for the longest time? What's that story in your head that you keep telling yourself that you keep moving towards every day? So just wanted to ask these questions and give you a little feedback on what those answers are to me. For the longest time, I've actually been I've always wanted to be powerful and rich. Since I was a young kid. I remember when I was 5 or 6, I wanted to be the president. And then I found out about money when I was about 6 or 7, and then I quickly wanted to be a billionaire. I remember finding out about Tommy Hilfiger, being from my hometown, and my mother knowing him, and then finding out how much he's worth. I remember, well, now that I know, I don't even remember what I used to think Tommy Hilfiger was worth, but I know he's only worth 450 million now. And this company did about 13.5 billion last year alone, and about another 13 billion the year before. So 26.5 billion in the 26.5 billion in the last 2 years, and you're only worth a half a billion. And you've been around for 30 or 40 years. It's about 30, 25 years, so about 30, almost 40 years now. Yeah. I don't know what my thoughts are on that. I can't say he sold himself short, technically, but yeah, that's one thing that I really keep in mind. Is $450 million enough to be powerful? I'm looking at what Tommy Hilfiger did with his life, being from his town, what he's done for my area, what he's done for others. I'm sure he's helped out many that I don't even know. One to name is Guy Vickers. He's from our town, and he's actually the vice president, or he was, for one of his departments. So he did bring one of his friends up and help train them and get them, into a position. So he did help out some people. Let me let this dog inside. Come on, get in there, baby girl. Excuse me. So, yeah, money, power, but why? What's the reason I want these things? It's not for material items. It's always about what I wanted to do with this money. When I look at the world, it's kind of funny when you realize that the world was made up, created by people that were, not, just as smart as you are. Not too many people that just is not special. No one's special. There are some people that are freaks that are special, I guess you could say, but really, there's nothing stopping you from being that person either, besides a dedication and a part of your identity. Identifying with that. Have these guys always been that? Sure, some of their character traits have definitely always have shown, whether they're more conservative or whether they're, more outgoing. These things are always usually prevalent. But basically, what's going to determine this is the identity that you apply to yourself. So basically, if depending on what you try and how young and where you get with it, that's going to condition you to, either go in that same direction or try something new. So if some people, head in the right direction and get some early wins, early life, that can really help, condition their identity, condition their belief system on what they believe is possible. So I've always believed that, the highest achievements were possible. My highest achievements being, well, one is I'm a big fan of Buckminster Fuller, and one of his famous quotes that I can't get out of my head is from the 1930s, and he said, "Right now, everyone has enough technology that every single person on this earth, men, women, and children, can actually be living like modern day billionaires. So when he said that in the 30s, I was imagining what a billionaire lived like in the 30s, and then I was imagining every single human being on the planet living underneath, these standards. Now, this is more of a utopia, I guess, and people, our human race has been aiming for a utopia for ever, it seems like. I'm not different in that aspect, but the fact when I look at a utopia and I hear the arguments of, what's possible in a future, especially given the technology today. Another thing from Buckminster Fuller that has stuck with me is that no matter where you are right now, you only the layman's, the majority of people only know about 99% of all the technology available. So think about that. Many of us are not experts in a long shot. We're not experts on what we know that is possible for technology. I pride myself on knowing a lot more than a lot of people, but I'm not naive to the point where I think I know things. Another famous quote is Socrates: "A wise man knows he knows nothing." So these are things that I really keep in mind when these are part of my identity, and it helps establish every decision I make. So to get back to the technology and a utopia and what my goals are in life, that is my main objective in life, is to help bring a more utopian society into reality. And my identity of a utopian society, or what I reflect as utopian society, is something that most material items that depreciate anyway, I'm imagining these things will be free. And free meaning that they will be provided for you, almost like a benefit, like a service. What's the word? Basically, a basic amenity. So imagine rent, food, education, clothing, basically any material item that you want. Golfing, you want golf clubs. Imagine golf clubs being... Here's another great way to look at it. So imagine technology being to the point where, let's say, we can just print a 3D print a customized golf club in a matter of seconds. Let's say we need a 3-iron or whatever. I'm not a golfer, so I hope I didn't just mess it up. A 3-wood or a 3-iron, and instead of carrying it in a bag and lugging it around a course, what happens if you could just press a button and it would just fly out of the ground right there for you, custom made. And then you can just send it right back down. You wouldn't have to carry it around. It could be accessible at any time, anywhere. Now, if they had something like this available, there's a lot of material items that, you wouldn't need to be lugging around. You wouldn't need to carry your bag of golf clubs to the golf course and then back home. You could just grab a new golf club every new swing, or every new hole. That's one thing that I really envision with production and manufacturing. And I also imagine a more ecological system, with our community. So when we have smaller areas like where I'm at, a metropolitan area of the southern tier, we have maybe 300,000-400,000 people within a 100-mile radius, 150-mile radius. So I imagine, this is a small hub that actually distributes to the areas around it, but it's not the biggest hub, so it actually gets a lot of its resources from a bigger hub, which could be New York City, right down the 3 or 4 hours down the road. So, not to keep this going for too long, but basically, this is something I do imagine, most material items being free. Imagine travel being free, with these new maglev, magnetic levitational trains that say they can get from New York City to China in an hour. Can you imagine your daily job being a community service? Let's say you work 5 hours a week, 5 hours a day, and you only work 4 days a week, 20 hours is enough to chip in with the community, to provide for your community. So whatever factory you're working at, you might be helping fixing TVs or whatnot. I don't know what you guys, I mean, managing the fixing shop, because most of the time it's going to be machines doing everything in the future. So imagine you working at some plant overseeing, you know, your portion of the job, and there's maybe 20, 30, 40 different things that happen in this town. Everyone contributes their 5 hours a day, and that is enough to make the world go round. We can provide everybody everything. That is the goal. 20 hours a week, community service, everything provided, and then the rest of the time is free time to do what you really wish. You know, if you are studying marine biology and you want to go actually do some research in, you know, under the water, you can actually just take a hour maglev train to basically any ocean that you want to, and you can go scuba diving with a team that's doing the research that you want to. Now this is something that I really imagine for the future, and how we're going to bring this. It really does come down to a lot of economics. I think it's coming to that point right now with a redistribution of wealth, and that's why I actually think the window is closing. I actually want to hurry up and create a startup that's successful, you know, at least 100 million in, you know, the first 5, 6, 7 years would be nice, and then a unicorn, if not the first one being a unicorn. That has definitely been my goal. I want to create impact and value at that scale. So these are the things that I'm trying to do. Now, with the window closing, so I do imagine a hierarchy even within of a standard of living of a utopia. So there's going to be our founding fathers of this new utopia, and they're going to go down in history. And then there's going to be the people that stand on their shoulders that, you know, bring the next generation of philosophy to this new system, this new utopia. Now, this is going to be the hierarchy, but everyone's going to have access to this. So basically, you're going to find your niche of what you are great at, what you know, are creative with, what you can bring the most value in. I feel like society is going to actually help their citizens as a whole, worldwide, and actually preparing people to be their best selves. That's the new thing that I'm getting in the trend here, is even employers want their employees to be the best and do what they're meant to be doing. If they don't enjoy their work, they're not doing what they should be doing. So that is a little bit of how I envision the world, the future as a whole, and that is what really gets me moving in the morning. That's what gets me going. I've just recently learned patience. So, and I say that patience is because, you know, now that I've known for a while this is what I've always wanted, but now that I've actually got it in a clear form of what I'm aiming for, and the things that I'm actually doing up to that point, and why. These are the things that really guide my decision making every single day. Now, I'm still working on a few things. I'm still a full smoker. I need to identify as not a smoker. I've been smoking since I was 8 years old, and I'm turning 30 in less than a month. So almost 22 full years smoking. I've known when I was 13 years old that I was going to smoke for 20 years and then quit. I used to that was a story in my own. Oh, I could smoke for 20 years. I'll be 28 and then I got a whole life ahead of me and I can quit. And that'll be my new chapter in my life. Well, after 22 years in, I have yet to put them down. I still identify as a smoker, and that is something I'm actively working on. So if there's anything, you know, that you want to share alongside this, feel free to drop a comment, shoot a video in response, tell me, you know, some things that you're working for and why, and maybe some things you need to still change. So you guys have a good day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.